Our last speaker meeting, the students requested to have our wellness counselor, our only counselor at TCC, Mr. Chad Mikell, to come talk to us about how to de-stress, and how to balance the life in school. And so it's my great pleasure to have Chad here. So I'm just going to go over a few things about what's going on with the swab. So let me see. One thing I would like to remind you is that I'm one of the academic success coach. So if you're needing any help, make sure to email me or call me. Email is probably the best way. We do all sorts of things to help you master these 8 facets of college life. So I will follow up with the intake to everyone, our SWAP members, so that you can benefit from coaching. So our next, after this event, we will have a spring outing with Chick-fil-A at Southeast Campus. So I'm gonna RSVP, send you an invitation. Please accept it. It's gonna be right after spring break. We're gonna order Chick-fil-A, and it's gonna be on March 22nd. It's a Tuesday that coincides with our SWAP networking event. So let me see, Jonica probably want to touch base with you too at this event. All right, so this is my contact. Most of you probably have it, so just let you know I'm going to follow up with this. Another reminder is this. We do have this mom's or parents bag for rent, so if you would like to rent it out, you still can. It's at Northeast Campus. Actually, if you email me, I will bring it with me probably for March 22nd. So make sure if you can't pick it up, just let me know. Let me see. So some of you, this may be your first time to get to talk to Chad. Chad is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Oklahoma. He has been employed with TCC since September 2019. Prior to TCC, the vast majority of Chad's professional experiences in the field of mental health involves working with families and adolescents. All currently enrolled students are able to meet with Chad for 5 free counseling sessions throughout the academic year. He can be reached through email here or by phone. 918-595-7569, and I've just forwarded the 5 flyers, the new flyers of this semester to each one of you here. So please make sure to ask them questions today. And next, it's my pleasure to move on to our speaker, today's speaker, Chad. Here's your floor.
Thank you, Joy. I appreciate it. It is good to see everybody's names and a few faces. Thanks for letting me take a few minutes out of your time today. Joy, if you don't mind, maybe you've already done this. Am I able to share my screen? While you're getting that set up, Joy, this is what I tell every student I meet with. Your only responsibility right now is to sit back, relax, and pretend that what's coming out of my mouth is super interesting to you. If you can do that, we're already ahead of the game here. So again, my name is Chad Mikell, and I am TCC's LPC, Licensed Professional Counselor. And as Joy mentioned, every student that is currently enrolled has access to me for 5 counseling sessions throughout the academic year. Joy, you have a typing speed that surpasses human ability. There you go. Every student that's go ahead, Joy.
Just hope it works, right? Can you share yours?
I haven't tried yet. I'll try in just a second
good.
here.
Okay.
I'll give it a shot in just a second. Thank you. So as Joy mentioned, every currently enrolled student has access to me for 5 free confidential mental health counseling sessions per academic year. That starts in the fall, so in August. And then that goes all the way through July 30th if a student is enrolled for the fall, spring, and summer sessions. The first appointment is about an hour and a half because you have to listen to me ramble about confidentiality. And then there's a little bit of online paperwork. Once you finish that, you have confidentiality. And then we can meet for 5 additional 1-hour sessions throughout the year. So a lot of students aren't aware that that service exists, but I say this a lot, and I genuinely mean it. Counseling, it can be for people who are struggling with issues or challenges in their life. And counseling can be a way to sort of have some protected time to figure out how to overcome some of those issues or better manage them. But I'm also a firm believer that counseling can also be an opportunity for personal growth, period. Whether or not you're dealing with challenges in your life right now, it's an opportunity to, again, protect space, develop a little self-awareness, a little bit of insight, and figure out how to make your life experiences, for lack of a better word, more meaningful. So if anybody's interested in participating in counseling, I encourage you to reach out to me via email. I know Joy's got that information, and I'll show you some stuff in a little bit. It's got my email address on there as well. The last thing I'm going to say about counseling is I guarantee you, I can't guarantee you, but I can say with a high degree of confidence that we will probably laugh together more than we cry. Most students that I work with, the process ends up being pretty rewarding. And in my opinion, it's a fun one. So I encourage anybody to reach out that might be interested. We are doing everything via Zoom right now. We can meet in person if needed, but I got to be honest, Zoom works really, really well. So if that's compatible with you, great. If it's not, we'll figure out a way to connect face to face. I generally reside at the Southeast campus. I used to be everywhere, but COVID's kind of changed that a little bit. But even though flexibility isn't my middle name, I am certainly flexible in trying to connect with you. So, okay. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will try to circle back to those a little bit later. Right now, I'm going to try to share my screen, and I'm going to go through some of this stuff pretty quickly. I just want to kind of give you the ability to connect with me when desired. And it's not working for me right now. It's not on your end, Joy. Let me check something real quick. Having a hard time getting to my internet here when I try to share the screen. Here it is. Okay. So first and foremost, the easiest way to get a hold of me is to go to the TCC website, click on Campus Life. I'm sorry, Student Resources, and then go to Student Wellness Services. And once you do that, you're going to see these 8 dimensions of wellness here. I'm sorry. Over here on the left, you're going to see counseling services. All you have to do is click on that link, and you see a picture of me with a shaved head, and it's got my phone number and an email address. Just above me, we've got some emergency services, and I always want students to be aware of these because I'm only available by appointment. I'm the only licensed professional counselor here at TCC that sees students. So I'm very rarely available for students just to walk in or to call or to get services in the moment. So if there ever was a crisis, as I'm sure most of you know, you always have access to TCC Police. COPES is a wonderful service within Tulsa County that you can utilize, and they can actually come find you in person and do an assessment if needed, or get you connected with the supports you need. And if you haven't seen this all around campus, I'm going to show you a flyer later, but the crisis text line is also a 24/7 free service. All you have to do is text the word relief to 741-741, and you are guaranteed to get connected to somebody. The only other thing I'm going to show you on here on this particular page is that if for whatever reason you're not comfortable meeting with me, or you would like to keep your counseling separate from TCC, which is understandable, you can click on this link right here and find a private practitioner. And I'm hoping it's going to track with me. Are you looking at a different page now, Joy? All right. This is a service that TCC pays for. It's got filters over here. You can come over here and click the issue that you're looking to deal with, and your insurance provider. And if there's a gender issue or a proximity language, and what it'll do is it'll filter out private practitioners in the area. So if you have a specific insurance, it's a great way to find somebody that's close to you. It's a good little benefit. TCC pays for it, and I think we've got over 60 providers that subscribe to that. The last thing I'm going to show you over here is, well, let me back up real quick. I recognize that I'm not compatible with everybody. I recognize that some people might have specific needs that maybe I can't provide, or maybe people are looking for long-term services beyond the 5 that I can offer. We have plenty of other mental health resources. There's plenty of other community referrals that I can get you to. They're all going to be low cost, no cost, or compatible with insurance if you have it. And then last but not least, we have this alcohol substance use page. There's a ton of resources on here. And I don't want anybody to ever feel like if you're struggling with substance abuse, that you cannot get treatment, because the mystique out there is that it costs thousands and thousands of dollars. That is not always the case. There are plenty of resources in Tulsa, plenty very, very affordable resources in Tulsa. But if that's something you're interested in, or any type of counseling services, I'm always going to recommend that you reach out to me first so we can have some protected time to understand what you're dealing with in a little bit more detail. And then I can make a little bit more of a personalized referral. Okay, I'm going to try to do a new share here. Give me just a minute, everybody. Here we go. Very briefly, I'm just going to go over some of these documents that Joy just emailed out to you. The first one is just sort of an overview of your well-being, ways to support yourself, self-care. It's sort of like a wellness services tip sheet. It's got plenty of resources. I would encourage you all to just sort of glance through it as a way to sort of restore balance in your life. Self-care, which is something we're going to talk about here in just a second. I won't go into too much detail, but just know that it's there. The second flyer that you would have received is the crisis text line. I hope you're seeing these all over campus if you're on campus. But again, I cannot stress enough the ease of texting the word relief to 741-741 and getting connected to somebody. You do not have to be in a crisis to use these resources. If you are in a crisis, they're wonderful resources, but sometimes you just want to connect. And if that's the case, I would recommend you use the crisis text line as well. This is just a counseling handout that you might see at some of our tables at events, but it's another way to access me if you need me. Again, it's got my information here, COPES, which you've already touched on, crisis text line, and campus police. And then I'm going to touch on this. This is called Let's Talk. You can use this QR code. This is one of the biggest kept secrets at TCC, and students, they use it sort of inconsistently. But since I'm not available for walk-ins, every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m., I block out 1 hour where students can log on to Zoom using this QR code, which is also on our website. And you and I can connect for about 10 to 15 minutes. I can probably answer most of your questions up front. We can get something scheduled. I can get you connected to another provider. It's just a great way to maybe sort of test the waters, touch base, and decide if counseling is right for you, or somebody else that you care about, or if there's an alternate route for you. And then this is a comprehensive guide to wellness services, and it's got a lot more information about what we do, what we offer, how you can get involved if wellness is important to you. We have student advocacy groups. We have peer health educators. We have scholarships that are good for 1 semester for students that get involved. So a ton of information here. I'm going to kind of gloss through it so you can go back and revisit it. There's some information about screeners here, mental health screening, alcohol, substance use screening. I just want you to have it when it's needed. Okay, I am going to get out of this, and for the remainder of my time with you, I think you're going to be stuck just kind of staring at me here. So let me pull up a few notes. Joy asked me to kind of talk a little bit about the life balance between work, being a student, being a parent, being a human being who requires downtime, self-time, and the stress that's sort of involved with that. And here's what I'm going to tell you right up front. I am the expert of nothing, period. I do not claim to be. I am a participant in the game of life just like all of you. What I spend the majority of my waking professional hours doing is connecting with students, joining your life, and helping you develop insight and sharpen the skills in terms of being the expert of your own life. That's what I do. So when I share this stuff with you, I'm not trying to say that I have this area of expertise, or that if you don't agree with me or abide by what I'm saying or recommending, that you're doing it wrong. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is these are sort of generalities, and they're sort of applicable or could be potentially beneficial to all humans. But at the end of the day, these are very personal experiences for us. And even if I have something in common with Joy or Jonica in terms of life, it doesn't mean that sort of our micro experiences or our in-depth experiences are always the same. Again, commonalities. All that to say, if what I say today resonates with you, and it's something you want to explore further, then again, I always encourage people to reach out, and we can carve out some of that protected time to better understand some of your own individual experiences and what it is you would like to improve in your life. So in terms of a life, school, work, better balance, I will say that sometimes life has a very different agenda than what we have or what we would desire. Sometimes that is unavoidable. I don't know anything about anybody on this call except for the fact that I know that you have chosen at this point in time to enroll at TCC. You have intentionally, consciously put more on your plate right now. It's one more thing to sort of juggle, keep that plate spinning in the air, on top of all your other responsibilities. And even though TCC might be a huge benefit and it might be helping you get towards some future goals, it's also an increased stressor in your life. The only difference is this is an intentional one that potentially has some very long-term benefits to that. So that's really the only thing I know about anybody on this call. So when I'm assuming a lot of you work, your parents, those three things alone would probably max a person out. But then you also have personal relationships, you have family. It's a lot to juggle. Maybe there's financial challenges, maybe there are other obligations in life. It's a lot to juggle. The thing that I can sort of attest to or speak to is the fact that we all sort of have a tendency to develop our own routines, right? We sort of have developed a habit about how we interact with each and every day. It gets to the point where that habit can be a little bit mindless. And I can be talking about the actions of our day, the schedules of our day. I can also be talking about sort of like our emotional set point of each day, or how we respond to things. And I can also be talking about our mental perspective, our mental state. Those are all habitual. We get set in our ways. We're all susceptible to it. And when we do it, we don't have to think about it anymore. It just sort of naturally unfolds, whether we're conscious of it or not. As a result, that has a tendency to, at times, get things out of balance a little bit, because we tend to be a little bit more reactive to things versus maybe intentionally responding. And when we sort of start to fall into the trap of habit, we have a tendency to maybe neglect ourselves, or maybe we have a tendency to overindulge ourselves. And we have a tendency to sort of go through the motions and maybe do it mindlessly. And that can lead to feelings of guilt, maybe a lack of energy, maybe symptoms of depression or feeling really lethargic, maybe an increase in anxiety because something's off in our life, or maybe just a lack of fulfillment, right? Like something's missing. Maybe we're neglecting other aspects of our life, or maybe our life is just so consumed with all these things swirling in our head that, to be honest, it's just kind of overwhelming to think about the other things that we should or could be doing. And I'll come back to that in a little bit. And the truth is, at least I'm speaking for myself, at the end of the day, a lot of things in our life get the best version of us. And then when we get low in the tank, at the end of the day, maybe some of the things that perhaps are a higher priority in our life, perhaps that have higher value, they get the second-rate version of us. Aspects of life that maybe it's not warranted, they tend to get our best version. So if this resonates with you, that's a good thing. And here's why. This is my effort to be intentionally optimistic. If anything I've said so far resonates with you, that at the very minimum means that you have awareness. You recognize that you're overworked, you have too much on your plate. You recognize that people have needs from you that you may not be able to fulfill from an A+ basis. You recognize that other things are depleting your tank, and that maybe some of the most important things in your life are getting the second-rate version of you, the deteriorated version of you. So I'm going to do a little self-disclosure to you here, but my job can be stressful. It's certainly more rewarding than stressful, but we all have those days where we get our proverbial butt kicked and we go home and we want to block out the rest of the world, which may or may not be possible. But that's called sort of like our default action. What is it that we typically do that sort of shuts our brain down and provides us that immediate gratification? And for me, my kid would laugh at this because she knows it's true. That usually means I go home, I mindlessly turn on YouTube, and I just scroll through videos looking for old 70s live music that I think is going to impress my kid, or Jeep Wrangler videos, because that's my secret passion in life, to own a Jeep Wrangler one day. It's mindless stuff. It provides me immediate gratification. It's very low-hanging fruit, and it's very easy to do. It easily allows me to block out the rest of the world. It's not productive. It's not fulfilling. It has become a habit. I don't have to think about it. It automatically occurs in my life. And so one of the things that I recommend we do, and I assume everybody has sort of like that default thing that you typically do, and then maybe you get a little irritated when somebody or something interferes with that. There's this thought that says, how dare they? They're interfering with my protected time, or this thing that's important to me right now. One of the things that I recommend people do is to sort of reboot. And what I mean by that is, this is really an opportunity to sort of carve out some time. I literally did this with a pen and paper, and sort of reevaluate what your values are in life. Not historically what you've always said or what you always thought to be true, but with this present version of you today. Your circumstances are not the same as they were in the past. You're not the same person as you were in the past. You have evolved, you have grown, you have either taken on more, you've become more productive, you have different thoughts and emotions and responses, and most importantly, life wisdom that you've acquired by giving the gift of time over the years. And so I encourage everybody to do this reboot and make a list of what you would consider to be your current values, and make a list of things that are important to you, or that you could intentionally or consciously do with your free time, or with your time in general when it's not being obligated to other things. It's literally the most precious asset any of us possess, and it's the one thing that we're all guaranteed to run out of. But my point in doing this is that when you write something down, you're making it concrete. You're externalizing it. You're taking it outside of these swirling thoughts, and you're making it something physical that you can then work with, deal with, manipulate, reference later. When I did this, it occurred to me that there were about 15 things that when I was being completely honest with myself, they would give me more fulfillment. They would give me more education. They would give me more quality time with my daughter. They would enhance the efficiency, the organization of my life. They were things such as practicing meditation, exercising, enjoying nature, practicing being more present, getting outside of my head, reading, talking to my daughter, doing little things like doing little remedial tasks around the house that I'd sort of put off and put off and put off. Getting those things off my plate gave me a sense of accomplishment, and it's sort of like immediate gratification. These were just some of the things that I knew were important to me. I also need to self-disclose, we recently got a new cat. That cat requires a lot more attention than I anticipated, but spending quality time with that cat allows that relationship to bond. As a result, I'm better, the cat's more easily manageable, right? I made a conscious list of things that would be more productive, more meaningful to me, that aligned with my values. And I knew that if I took the initiative, made the effort to start doing these things in my life versus my default habits, by law, they have to lead to more long-term gratification in my life. But that's the catch. They're not easy. They're not necessarily low-hanging fruit. They're not automatic, and they don't give you instant gratification. They require upfront effort from you. It actually takes a little bit more energy and effort from you up front. But by doing these things, you automatically know that you're more genuinely resonating with who you are and what's important to you. And that's kind of crucial because that makes it more sustainable. That makes it intrinsic. The value is derived from inside of you because you know it's important to you and who you are, versus the reward being received from something external, like chilling out in front of the TV. And don't get me wrong, I am not anti-TV. There are times when I intentionally lay on the couch and sit there mindlessly because I know that break is important and that it provides a benefit. But it's not my sole source of how I balance my life or unwind or de-stress. It's one of many things that I now try to do intentionally in order to keep that balance, minimize the stress in my life, but more importantly, maximize the fulfillment. It's a meaningful shift there. If you maximize fulfillment in your life by being intentional with your actions and your time, again, by law, you minimize stress in your life. Okay. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I want to touch on here. It's easy for me to say all this stuff. It's real easy for this stuff to come out of my mouth. I understand that there are variables in people's life that might not be easily manipulated, managed. I understand that time might be very, very short in some people's life. I understand that there is immense stress in people's life. Some of those circumstances may be unavoidable right now, period. That may just be the case. But my hope is that there's an awareness that this is a short-term sacrifice that you are intentionally quasi-welcoming into your life for a long-term benefit that can be realized and create sustainable happiness. And finally, I'm going to say this. Don't be afraid to say the word no. It's an incredibly powerful word. And I think it's one that's underutilized. I think 2-year-olds kind of nailed it. They just didn't know they nailed it. Everybody wants a piece of you. Everybody. And me personally, I know you can relate. When you say no, there's always this thought in the back of your mind that says you're doing something wrong, and it's always followed by this emotion of guilt. I'm getting a little tired of subscribing to either one of those things, the emotion or the thought. When you say no, it's you saying, my time is equally as important. My self-care is equally important. Time with my family, time focusing on school, time focusing on things that are important to me have just as much value as anybody else's desire, and I'm willing to protect those. That's called self-advocacy. And finally, quit shooting on yourself. There's an old saying in the counseling field, don't shoot on yourself, don't shoot on other people. Shoulding just makes you feel guilty because it's your brain's way of telling you there's all these other things that you should be doing right now. You're not good enough, you're inadequate, you're letting yourself down. Instead of shoulding on yourself, could on yourself. I could be doing these things. If I was more intentional, I could probably figure out a way to spend my time in a more productive, meaningful, fulfilling manner. Okay, I appreciate everybody letting me ramble for a little bit. I hope this resonated with some people. I'm going to stick around for just a minute to answer any questions, or if there's something in the chat people need clarification on. Otherwise, I hope if you're interested, you will take the risk of reaching out to me and seeing what the benefits might be. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chad. Yeah, we're really, you have shared very wonderful tips today. I mean, what makes resonate with me is that write down a list of important things. That is so true. I mean, that can give us positive energy that sustain us, right, for life and study balance. So thank you again. And now the floor is open for Q&A. So everyone, please feel free to ask Chad any questions right now. It's a unique opportunity.
And the only thing I'll add, Joy, is the list is powerful, but the catch is you got to be truthful with yourself. Society is going to tell you all the things that should be important to you, but that may not necessarily be the case. So make sure you're being sincere to yourself and who you are and what provides you that fulfillment.
And find the right balance for ourselves, right? It's all different, case by case for everyone.
Question in the chat that asks if I do Zoom sessions, and yes, I absolutely do Zoom sessions. That's the majority of what I do, and it's been really, really convenient.
At this point, you're free to turn on your unmute yourself, and please feel free to ask any questions or your comments.
I appreciate the comment of somebody working with Trio and having to work on saying no more. I'm going to start utilizing it with my boss. Consider her on notice right now.
Thank you, Chad. It's always a pleasure to have you come talk to any of our organizations. Each time you come, you talk about something different, and that's one thing I really appreciate. And today, I really like the fact that you said over time, our values and I forget how you worded it, but some things change, and we need to take a moment and reevaluate our lives. So I really liked that because it hit me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the comment, Jonica. I say this to students all the time. I'm talking to you, but I'm equally talking to myself, right? We all need a reboot every once in a while, and our thoughts are very habitual as well. And it occurs to me a lot that this thought that keeps reoccurring may have been accurate 3 years ago, 6 months ago, 10 years ago, but I don't necessarily know if it's the complete picture or applies anymore. It might be time to sort of reevaluate that and see where I am. So no harm in sort of doing a little personal growth self-evaluation periodically to make sure that you're on the same page with yourself.
Oh, yes, I totally agree. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, crew. Well, you know how to get in touch with me. Feel free to reach out if I can be of assistance. Otherwise, thanks for having me, and I will catch you again in the future.
Thank you so much, Chad, and you have a wonderful day, and we appreciate your taking off this precious time of yours. I know you visit students all day long, so please feel free to reach out to, everyone, please feel free to reach out to Chad today, in the future. So have a wonderful day.
See you. Thanks, Joy.
Thank you. Bye.